So if you're not aware of what you're dreaming, you're missing out on a lot of deep, rich source material that has everything to do with your life trajectory. You're missing out on wonderful guidance. You're missing out on some clarity on where you are at any given moment in your life experience. Welcome to Worthiness Wednesday. I'm Perry Gruber, the Enlightenment Guy. For over a decade, I've helped people master their mindsets so they can create lives they love and get results effortlessly without the burnout or the hustle. And true to every Worthiness Wednesday episode, well, most of them, sometimes I go off script, but today I'm going to talk about another client experience. This is a really fantastic one, and it illustrates the power of dreams and why being aware of your dreams is so beneficial. I've talked about this client before. I'm going to call him Marcus. I think I called him Marcus in the previous episode I published about his life. This client is a masterful practitioner of the positively focused practice. And he recently had a magnificent experience in which a dream foreshadowed his future success as a musician and also complemented the magnificent success he's having at work. Let's dive into it. So Marcus is a musician. Like many artists, Marcus, however, has had dominant belief momentum that told him he could not succeed as a musician. By success, I mean generate an income comparable to what he gets through his W-2 job. His W-2 job involves working at a regional electric utility. So he makes a pretty good six-figure salary. And so his personal beliefs tell him that the only way he can make that kind of income is through working a job. And no way on earth could he make that kind of income as a musician. He believes that the musician market is saturated, that his particular style of music is unappreciated, and that because of those things, it would be very difficult for him to make the kind of money he makes at his job. Now, this is really key. We're only at the beginning of this story, but there's a key element here, and that is most people struggle with these kinds of beliefs, and that's what has them working W-2 jobs instead of following their passion. Marcus is not the only client who has these kinds of thoughts. There are at least 4 other clients of mine who are working through similar belief momentum, similar belief constellations. A belief constellation is a collection of beliefs that work together around a single subject, thereby creating a reality that is limited. And this shouldn't be such a surprise because most people actually, this is one of the reasons why workplaces are so full of employees, is because most people don't believe following their passion will produce an equivalent amount of income. But the thing about physical reality is there are fundamental principles underlying how physical reality works. And those fundamental principles say that anything you believe, you can achieve, you can realize. And so and if you have beliefs that are limiting, those beliefs are just as powerful as beliefs that align with you wanting to do something that is personally rewarding. So if you believe that you can be a successful performer, you will be a successful performer. But if you believe that you can only get high income from a job, then you're limited to working a job. You will not pursue an artistic path. And this was where Marcus was when he came to this practice. Now, Marcus has been working with me, I think, about 1.5 years now. And he's beginning to realize that, hey, maybe I am good enough to generate a 6-figure income from my music. He has realized this as a result of busking and also performing for pay at the local farmers market. And as he does that, the response he's getting from the people in the audience is truly astounding. I have visited him performing 2 or 3 times now, and just like him, he not so much these days because it has happened so often. But when I was there, I was surprised at how many people powerfully resonate with his performance. And frankly, he's a very good performer. So it's only his beliefs that are limiting his ability to have a lifestyle that is consistent with what he wants, which is to play music full time, rather than working this job. But here's the wonderful thing about physical reality. The more he works this job, the more confident he becomes in realizing that he can have the same success playing music. And that was supported by a dream he had. I'll get to the dream in a moment. So he comes to the session the week we had the call, and he was raving about his professional success at work. People were telling him that he was a hot commodity. Managers were encouraging their employees to connect with Marcus in order to learn how to do their job in the same way Marcus was doing, because he's doing so well at his job. Marcus recently got an extremely high performance review, and his employer and another manager at his business had suggested strongly that he would succeed at 2 details that were coming up. So this has been something Marcus has been wanting to see in his life experience for some time. He often believed that even at work, he was engaged in this thing called imposter syndrome. Now, I've had at least 3 clients who struggle with this imposter syndrome thing, so I know that this is a common belief also. But Marcus had worked through that simply by beginning to look at the fact that he is contributing value to his company. It started small, just by looking at the fact that he has not been fired, and then it gradually grew into his acknowledgement that, yeah, the internal customers in his organization really appreciate him. They speak to that. And yeah, his external customers also speak to how much they value his contribution. In fact, they often reach out to him for assistance rather than reaching to Marcus's colleagues, which sometimes gets under Marcus's skin because he's often doing more than his share of the work. But I've taught him how to soothe that belief also. So Marcus is moving through this experience at work and gaining greater and greater levels of confidence and clarity that he offers value, that he is not an imposter. And the more he does this, and also the more he performs out at the farmer's market and busking and receives the accolades he gets from those audiences, he's warming up to the possibility that he may be able to transfer his professional competence at the utility company to being professionally competent as a performer. Now, we've been talking about this for about 1.5 years, and he has manifested for himself 2 decent paying gigs outside of the farmer's market that added to his growing level of confidence. But something that happened recently really caused his competence to soar, and it all happened in the dream state. So after one wonderful day at work, Marcus came home, prepared to go to bed, and when he went to sleep, he had a dream. And in the dream, I just need to stop and say, you guys, if you're not aware that you're dreaming, and you're not able to recall your dreams the morning you wake up, you are missing out on an extremely valuable source of your future, of your current state, where you're going, and how well you're doing at where you're wanting to be. And that's what happened with Marcus in this dream. Marcus woke up the next morning from this dream, and he was elated. He didn't really understand what it was about until I explained it to him. But in the dream, he was at an Airbnb, a bed and breakfast, not an Airbnb, a bed and breakfast. and he was sitting out on the front lawn admiring this extremely scenic view. It was dusk, and in front of him was a roaring fire, giving off this delicious warmth. And Marcus was sitting beside the fire and feeling warm and satisfied. Satisfied and warm is an important aspect of this dream. It shows that he is in a frequency of openness. At that moment in the dream, members of a particular band showed up. They're called Sleep Token. Now, the fact that their band name includes the word sleep is not a coincidence that they showed up in his dream. But more importantly is the nature of this band. So Sleep Token, when they perform in these costumes that, frankly, I believe are extremely beautiful, very artistic. And their music is wide-ranging, mostly metal, but also has hints of hip-hop and R&B in it. The band strives to be anonymous, although over time people have figured out who these people are. But it is a band that Marcus admires, not just because of how they show up on stage, but also their professional competence. Does that sound familiar? Marcus loves their musicianship, particularly the drummer. And Marcus tells me that the drummer and the lead singer collaborate on the lyrics, and Marcus loves the lyrics of their songs. They're very rich and moving, their songs. And so this band shows up at this B&B at the edge of the fire, and they ask Marcus if it's okay that they join him. And Marcus says, yes, of course. And by the way, Marcus has never sought out what these people look like without their masks on. So in this dream, they show up with their costumes and they sit down by the fire, and they just have this, they being Marcus and the band members, they just have this wonderful conversation in this dream about ordinary things that peers would talk about. And at the end of the conversation, the members of Sleep Token get up, bid Marcus farewell, and then leave. The next day, this is still in the dream, the next day in the evening, Marcus is at the same bonfire. By the way, fire in dreams represent the processing through the metabolizing of resistance. And so Marcus is again by the fire, and this time the Sleep Token band members show up, but this time they're not wearing their costumes. They're in ordinary clothing. And when they show up, they ask again. Actually, Marcus says they don't ask. When they show up, they sit down by the fire without asking Marcus for permission. At this point, it's as though Marcus and the members of the band are good friends, which is exactly how Marcus describes it. They have this lovely interaction, authentic, clear, and resonant with who Marcus is being while these band members are there. Now, some more background about Sleep Token. Marcus described this to me, so it may not be 100% accurate, but you'll get the flavor. 2 years ago, Sleep Token was publishing their music on some social media venue and had an average of about 50,000 visitors a day. 2 years later, this year, not only have they won a number of awards, but they now have upwards of 5 million visitors a day visiting this social media platform where they post their music. So Sleep Token has become extremely successful in a very short amount of time. So that's the background. That's the additional background. So Marcus is at this B&B sitting by this fire. The band members join without wearing their costumes. They're wearing ordinary clothes. And together, Marcus and the band members have this stimulating conversation. Then Marcus has to leave. And so he gets up, and as he gets up and walks behind the band members turn and they wave to him goodbye as though he's a long-lost friend. Marcus says he can feel that resonance between him and the band members. he also acknowledged that in the dream, he never once felt awe or surprise or envy of the band members. He just felt like they were good friends. So Marcus walks away from the fire, and as he walks away, he wakes up. Now, Marcus didn't understand what this dream was about. He was enamored with the fact that sleep tokens showed up in the dream, but he didn't understand the meaning. The meaning of this dream had nothing to do with the band Sleep Token. What it had to do with was, and this is so good, the transference occurring within Marcus's consciousness, the transference of what he experiences as professional success, mastery, and competence at his job, the transference of that from his job environment into his musicianship. The band's Sleep Token showing up was a reflection of Marcus's own desire for professional and musicianship, professional competence in music and musicianship. The band Sleep Token represents to Marcus the epitome of the passion he shares with Sleep Token for musical performance. And so the fact that they showed up in the dream is one thing, but even deeper, the fact that they showed up at first in costume, and then after that they showed up in ordinary clothes and had an ordinary, deep conversation as though peers with Marcus, shows that Marcus is expanding into his version of their success. And when I described this dream to Marcus in this way, he was so astounded by the profundity of that interpretation, which is 100% accurate, that he wanted to keep a copy of the session recording because of the depth of its meaning. Here's the thing about dreams and every one of our live experiences. We are all on a trajectory. We're on a trajectory to greater expansion, more and more consistent residing at the highest vibration that the word love, the word empowerment, the word knowing speaks to. We are on a path to that level of expansion. And we chart this path through our interaction with physical reality. Physical reality is a mirror, and it is constantly reflecting back to us that which is what's going on inside of us. It's doing that so that we can experience viscerally the vibrations inside of us, and therefore tune those vibrations to higher and higher frequencies, approaching that love, knowledge, and empowerment I talked about a minute ago. The dream state is a direct experience of our non-physical eternal existence, and it is there that we often work through the resistance we compile when we are in wake state. So the dream state is a powerful source of understanding, of clarification, of clearing, and of prophecy of where we're headed on our trajectory toward eternal expansion. So if you're not aware of what you're dreaming, you're missing out on a lot of deep, rich source material that has everything to do with your life trajectory. You're missing out on wonderful guidance. You're missing out on some clarity on where you are at any given moment in your life experience. This is why in the advanced practice of the positively focused framework, we focus on realizing our dreams, because our dreams are priceless and they offer us the world. All right, that's it for now. I'm so appreciative of my clients, particularly Marcus and his magnificent musical mastery he's moving into. But I'm also appreciative of every other client I have who comes to sessions eager to hear more. including my newest 2 clients. Life is so good. Thank you for watching to the end. Feel free to make a comment or like and subscribe. You don't have to. And in the meantime, I'll see you in the next video.